Ever had one of those days where you're so sure of reality you just, no, you can't be crazy? Yeah, picture this. You sink your life savings into a piece of Colorado wilderness, and 3 months later, you roll up and find an entire secret village, complete with its own self-declared queen, staring back at you from your own land. I mean, I'm talking full-on Stepford HOA with a fake gate cottages, the whole damn circus. That was the day I learned just how far people will go when they think the law's just a suggestion. Let me back up a second. The first time I set foot on that property, it felt like stepping out of time. 90 acres of wild, untamed beauty river winding along one edge, mountain ridges, crowding the horizon, and a kind of silence you can't buy anymore. It was the last thing a bankrupt developer had left on the table. And at auction, I scooped it up clean for $740,000, wired that same afternoon. No questions, no loans, no drama. I drove out myself past 20 miles of potholes and washboard roads, past any sign of civilization, until I stood right in the middle of what was about to become my future. No utilities, no cell service, nothing but possibility. That's the kind of place that wakes up the builder in you, ideas popping up like mushrooms after rain. I pictured 4 luxury homes for vacationers, geothermal wells, cedar decks, maybe even a couple of plunge pools. But I'd been around this block before. I knew there was a mountain of permits, zoning nonsense, and environmental checks waiting for me before a shovel even hit dirt. Still, I was ready. Used to be a land surveyor before I started investing, and I don't buy so much as a backyard shed without knowing every inch. I walked the borders with a GPS staked. Every corner flew my drone for a 3D overlay, printed every deed and map 6 times. I left that first day knowing this was my land. And then, like I said, 3 months later, I hit the brakes so hard I almost ate my steering wheel. There weren't just a couple of tents or trespassers, no sir. There were 9 fully built cottages, Aspen Ridge cottages, private river retreat for HOA members, only blaring from big wooden signs, fire pits, smoking vinyl siding gleaming, and a mob of tourists hauling coolers out of SUVs like it was the 4th of July. A security guy in an orange vest was guarding a shiny wooden gate that sure as hell hadn't been there when I left. I mean, have you ever felt the ground shift under your own 2 feet? That's how it felt. I double-checked my maps, triple-checked the GPS, even opened up my drone overlays on my laptop right there in the truck. No mistake. They'd built every inch of this HOA mirage smack in the middle of my land. I drove around to the back, parked under a pine, and decided, screw it, I'm walking in. Clipboard in hand, chest tight, I went looking for whoever was in charge. That's when I met her, the queen bee herself. Blonde bob, cargo vest, sunglasses, the size of frying pans, barking orders at landscapers like she was Eisenhower planning D-Day. You must be confused, she told me, barely glancing over her clipboard. This land belongs to the Aspen Ridge HOA, has for nearly a year. I almost laughed. I bought this at auction. Here's the deed, the parcel number, and 3 surveys. She just smirked. You must have bought a piece of paper, not the land. I tried not to lose it. Showed her everything. Maps, GPS, the whole shebang. Didn't matter. She wasn't even pretending to listen. This isn't your land anymore. Take it to court if you like. If you try to evict us, every family here will sue you for harassment. Families, all I saw were drunk bachelor parties and Airbnb tourists. Before I could argue, she whistled for security. Escort Mr. Brady off our property, please. Our property. Yeah, that happened. I walked back to my truck feeling that cold, ugly anger you only get when someone robs you but smiles while doing it. I barely slept that night, just sat at my kitchen table, bourbon in hand, staring at maps and deeds, trying to convince myself I hadn't somehow hallucinated an entire illegal neighborhood. By sunrise, I was digging digitally this time. Every rental site you can name from Airbnb to VRBO. Took me 15 minutes to find Aspen Ridge Cottages, exclusive wilderness retreat. 9 listings my drone shot as the hero image rates at $600 a night. Host name Glenmount Heritage LLC, registered to Macy Lorraine, Karen's daughter. Cute, right? The numbers made me sick. $550 a night, 9 cottages, 25 nights a month. That's over $120,000 a month. Tax-free. Since there wasn't a single permit pulled. No septic, no electrical, nothing. I checked the county's records. Every permit on file was in my name and for stuff that hadn't even started yet. But then it got interesting. Buried in the planning minutes was a temporary field housing permit for a zone just outside my land. Signed off by Ronald Vickers, an inspector known for rubber stamping anything Karen and her HOA cronies touched. A few phone calls later and the story gets dirtier. Vickers and Karen had history. County records showed my land had been misclassified into the residential overlay for 6 months, just long enough for Karen to swoop in, slap down a fake HOA declaration, and start building like she owned the world. I was mad, but I was also curious. My buddy Jonah, who used to work for the NSA and now does freelance data work, traced Glenmount Heritage LLC's money trail in a day. Turns out every dollar from those rentals funneled through a Nevada shell company, then right back to a private trust. Who controlled that trust? Karen, of course, executive advisor in all but name. Just as I'm gearing up for the fight, a fat envelope lands at my door. Civil complaint. Aspen Ridge, HOA v. Silas Brady. Trespassing, harassment, interference with community operations, emotional distress. You ever get sued for walking on your own land? That's next level crazy. My lawyer took one look and said, "She's trying to pin you down first. Classic offense as defense. We filed a counterclaim, illegal occupation, fraudulent construction interference with lawful ownership." Or as my lawyer called it, property theft with extra steps. Back on the land I went, all in, surveyors, engineers, a drone crew. We documented everything, structures, trenches, utilities, mapped it all against my deed. When my lawyer suggested pressure, I dropped concrete traffic blocks across the unauthorized road. No threats, just simple physics. Within hours, Karen's security goons started harassing my crew, filming us, even accusing us of sabotage. By sundown, 2 sheriff's deputies and Karen showed up full drama mode. "He's denying access to families," she announced, even though the only families I saw were bros with beer coolers. The deputy looked at my paperwork and said, "Ma'am, this is Mr. Brady's land. He's not blocking your property. He's securing his." Karen's smile flickered, but she pivoted, claimed administrative error, land classification dispute. "That's a civil matter," the deputy said. "Not today." She hated that. Next morning, I'm on the front page. City investor moves to shut down river community, residents fight back. There's me mid-argument. There's Karen arm around some tourists looking like the suburban Mother Teresa. Comments brutal. Rich outsider, nature hater, you name it. My business partners started to worry. Is this going to blow back on our other projects? I told them all the same thing. I'm not stepping back. Karen doubled down, held a community gathering with free coffee, live music, extra signage about protected land. By Monday, activists were promising to protest corporate land grabs. But here's the thing, noise only works when you're afraid of silence. And I wasn't. I called the folks who write subpoenas, not Facebook posts. That's when the story turned. I got an email from Savannah Blake, a local journalist who'd been quietly tracking short-term rental scams. "I've been watching Aspen Ridge. Something's off. You just confirmed it. We met in a diner. She came armed with files, screenshots, the whole 9 yards. She asked sharper questions than my lawyer. Together we pieced together a timeline. No construction permits, workers paid in cash. No contracts or insurance, unlicensed labor. She even tracked down one of the guys who'd helped build the cottages, Lucho, who admitted La Senora paid in cash. Said no talk, no questions. We got that on record receipts and all. Savannah's story. The Mountain Mirage, How Aspen Ridge Became a Ghost. HOA. With real profits went viral. Local news state boards, even Reddit exploded. Suddenly Karen was blaming corporate smear campaigns posting selfies with hashtags like #TruthWins. But the dominoes had started to fall. An anonymous county clerk sent us emails showing Karen had pressured planning staff to ignore complaints even after my name was recorded as owner. Then the state water authority weighed in. Karen had lied about who owned the land to dodge citations for septic runoff into the river. At this point, the only thing keeping Karen's scheme alive was a mountain of paperwork, and we had more. We filed a federal complaint, land use violations, tax evasion, illegal construction, you name it. And then karma showed up with a vengeance. During a bachelorette weekend, the balcony on one of the cottages collapsed. 3 women hurt, one with a broken spine. The fire marshal and OSHA rolled in, discovered a horror show. No permits, no inspections. Amateur construction that looked like a drunken Cub Scout project. Headlines everywhere. Cottage collapse in shadow HOA. Who's accountable? Now the big guns were interested. IRS, Department of Environmental Protection, state licensing boards, even the U.S. Forest Service, because Karen had built over the protected riverbank. Federal marshals got involved. Karen panicked, tried to sell 2 cottages as turnkey luxury homes before the axe fell. Didn't work. One investor, Rich Pard, came forward with proof Karen had scammed him out of $75,000 for a stake in the community. He joined our lawsuit. Within a week, all Aspen Ridge rentals vanished from Airbnb. The site was roped off, cottages condemned. Then came the shot that ended it. Karen Lorraine arrested on federal charges, fraud, conspiracy, land theft, tax evasion, endangerment, the whole 9 yards. Her daughter Macy got named as co-conspirator, bank accounts frozen. Inspector Vickers fired under investigation, skipped town. The county condemned every cottage, unsafe structure, do not enter. Federal court ruled Aspen Ridge HOA null and void. All construction and legal ownership affirmed to me, plus damages, restitution, legal fees, and a nice chunk for punitive damages. The feds seized Karen's assets, auctioned off everything, even the HOA's security booth. One of my guys bought it and turned it into a chicken coop just for laughs. Savannah's follow-up report went statewide. Suddenly, my personal war was being cited by congressional committees as the poster child for HOA abuse and land fraud. By summer's end, the last cottage was bulldozed. The land was quiet again. I built what I'd planned, 4 modern homes, every permit checked, every beam inspected, no HOA, no drama, just peace. Now, the only community member I have to argue with is a cranky black bear who thinks he owns my driveway, and honestly, I let him. He was here first. One day, a woman knocked on my door, moving slow with a back brace under her coat, one of the bachelorette party survivors. She shook my hand and said, "Thank you for stopping her, for not backing off." She left a bottle of wine on my porch with a note, "Built on truth, not lies." Karen, 16 years in federal prison. Her appeals failed. Her daughter flipped living off-grid somewhere in Nevada. Aspen Ridge is just a line in the records now. Owner Silas Brady, that'll do. So, what do you think was justice served, or was this just one big mess with a lucky ending? Drop your thoughts below, especially if you've ever battled an HOA or tangled with land rights. Smash that subscribe, tell me your story, and let's talk, because I guarantee, somewhere out there, another Karen is plotting her next empire on someone else's ground.